Alpha husband's revenge after discovering my small cheating mistake. Unforgivable. I always thought my marriage was indestructible, like the solid foundation we built over the years. Degan, my husband, was a force of nature, steady, reliable, and fiercely protective of our relationship. But I made a mistake, a stupid, fleeting moment of weakness that would come to haunt me. The guilt gnawed at me daily, and I thought I could move past it. But I was wrong. It all started to unravel when I noticed subtle changes in Degan. He became distant, colder. The way he looked at me, like I was a stranger in our home, sent shivers down my spine. My confession, which I thought was nothing more than a small mistake, a single moment of stupidity, spiraled into a nightmare I couldn't escape. One evening, Degan came home earlier than expected. He was usually predictable, his routine like clockwork, but that day he walked in silently, his presence filling the room with a tension I could feel in my bones. "We need to talk," he said, his voice low but firm. My heart raced. I hadn't expected this so soon. I'd wanted to explain, to beg for forgiveness, but my words were lost in the knot of fear tightening in my throat. He sat across from me at the table, staring into my eyes with a gaze so piercing it felt like he could see every secret I was trying to bury. "I know everything, Jenny. Don't lie." I froze. Everything? He couldn't possibly mean the affair. It was one night, one mistake. I tried to speak, but the words got caught in my throat. Before I could respond, Degan leaned forward, his eyes narrowing. "Don't play dumb with me. I saw the texts. I followed you. I know who he is." My stomach churned, and my world started spinning. He knew. My worst fear had come true, and there was no way out now. "I feel like the walls are closing in on me." His words echo in my mind. Asterisk, he knows everything. Asterisk, my thoughts scramble for an explanation, but nothing seems right. No excuse can fix this. I open my mouth to speak, but all that comes out is a weak, "Degan, I'm sorry." His eyes flash with anger. "Sorry?" he growls, leaning back in his chair with a look of disbelief. "Sorry doesn't even begin to cover it, Jenny. You betrayed me." The weight of his words crashes over me like a tidal wave, drowning me in guilt. I want to scream, to explain that it didn't mean anything, that I love him, that I was stupid. But he doesn't give me the chance. He stands abruptly, towering over me as he paces the room, his fists clenching and unclenching at his sides. "I gave you everything," he spits, pacing faster. "And you threw it away for what? Some fling? Do you even know what you've done?" Tears burn in my eyes, but I refuse to let them fall. Not now. Not in front of him. "Degan, please. It was one mistake. It didn't mean anything. I love you. Only you." He stops in his tracks and turns to me, his jaw tight. "Love?" he laughs bitterly. "You call this love?" I feel like I'm suffocating, the air thick with tension. "It didn't mean anything, I swear," I say, my voice trembling. "It was a mistake, but it's over. I'll do anything to fix this, Degan." "Anything?" His expression hardens, his face a mask of barely controlled rage. "Fix this?" He steps closer, and I can feel the intensity radiating off him. "You can't just fix something like this, Jenny. You can't undo betrayal." I flinch at the word, feeling it sting deep in my chest. He's right, of course. There's no undoing what I've done. I've shattered the trust between us, and now I'm at his mercy. Then, something in his demeanor changes. His rage is still there, but beneath it, I see something colder, more dangerous. A determination that sends a chill down my spine. "You're going to regret this," he says, his voice low and lethal. "But don't worry, I'll make sure of it." For a split second, I don't understand what he means. But as he grabs his keys and walks out the door without another word, leaving me standing there in stunned silence, dread settles in my gut. This isn't over. Not by a long shot. The silence in the house is deafening after Degan leaves. I stand there frozen, staring at the door, my mind reeling. What does he mean by, "I'll make sure of it"? My hands tremble as I sit down, trying to steady my breathing, but the panic has already settled deep in my chest. I know Degan. He's not one to make empty threats. For hours, I wait, my mind racing with possibilities. Is he planning to leave me? Divorce me? Humiliate me in front of our friends and family? I keep checking my phone, expecting him to text or call, but nothing comes. The minutes tick by slowly, each one more agonizing than the last. I try calling him, but it goes straight to voicemail. I send text after text, desperate for some kind of response, but there's only silence on his end. The sinking feeling in my stomach grows heavier with each unanswered call. By the time night falls, I can't take it anymore. I leave the house, getting into my car, unsure of where I'm going. My hands grip the steering wheel tightly as I drive through the darkened streets, my mind filled with worst-case scenarios. I end up outside his best friend Kyle's house, parking a few houses down. Kyle's always been Degan's go-to whenever things got rough, and I'm certain he's here. But I don't get out of the car. I just sit there, staring at the dimly lit windows, wondering what they're talking about inside. Are they laughing at my mistake? Are they plotting my downfall? I bite my lip, my heart pounding. This isn't who I am. I don't stalk my husband. I don't make these kinds of mistakes. But I did. And now, I'm paying for it. The minutes pass, and I see shadows move behind the curtains. I imagine Degan inside, telling Kyle everything, detailing my betrayal and making plans I'm not ready for. My chest tightens as I realize how deep this has cut him. Suddenly, my phone buzzes in my lap. It's a text message from Degan. Go home. That's all it says. Nothing more, no explanation, no hint of what's coming next. Just two words that hit me like a slap to the face. My hands shake as I start the car and drive back home, the tension building in my gut. He's not done. He's just getting started. I pull into the driveway and turn off the engine, sitting in the dark for a moment. My eyes lock on the house. Every window is dark, as though it's waiting for something to happen. I get out and head inside, my heart racing. The silence inside is suffocating. I sit down on the couch, my body tense, waiting for whatever comes next. Suddenly, headlights flash through the window. I hear the sound of a car door slamming, and then the front door swings open. Degan walks in, calm, controlled, but there's something in his eyes that chills me to the bone. Tomorrow, he says, his voice eerily steady, you'll see what it feels like to lose everything. My blood runs cold. What are you talking about? But he doesn't answer. He just turns and walks toward the bedroom, leaving me standing there in the suffocating silence once again. The next morning arrives, but it feels like I never slept. I toss and turn all night, haunted by Degan's words. You'll see what it feels like to lose everything. My mind races with possibilities, but nothing prepares me for what happens next. I wake up to the sound of movement in the house. I rub my eyes and walk downstairs, expecting to see Degan making coffee or leaving for work, but instead, I find him in the living room, dressed in casual clothes, holding a stack of papers. His face is calm, too calm, and that scares me more than anything. "Jenny, sit down," he says, gesturing to the chair across from him. I hesitate for a moment, my heart thudding in my chest, but I sit as instructed. My hands fidget in my lap, nerves getting the best of me. He lays the papers on the coffee table between us, then leans back in his chair, staring at me with an intensity that makes me feel small. "I've been thinking a lot about what you said," he begins, his voice chillingly neutral. "About how sorry you are, how it didn't mean anything. And you know what? I believe you." Relief starts to wash over me, but it's short-lived. "I believe it didn't mean anything to you," he continues, his tone hardening. "But it sure as hell meant something to me. I can't get those images out of my head, Jenny. The lies, the betrayal. It's all I see when I look at you now." I swallow hard, my mouth dry. "Degan, He holds up a hand, cutting me off. "No, I'm done hearing your excuses. I told you last night that you're going to know what it feels like to lose everything. Well, today's the day." He picks up the stack of papers and slides them across the table toward me. My heart sinks as I recognize what they are: divorce papers. My hands tremble as I reach for them, flipping through the pages. I can barely process the words, but it's clear what this means. He's serious. This isn't a threat. He's ending our marriage. "I've already signed everything," Degan says coldly. All you need to do is sign on the dotted line. Tears well up in my eyes as I look up at him. Degan, please. I love you. I made a mistake, but we can work through this. Don't throw everything away. He stares at me, unmoved. You threw it away the moment you decided to cheat, Jenny. This isn't just about me and you anymore. I've been talking to our lawyer. The house? It's in my name. The accounts? Frozen until we settle. You're going to walk away with nothing. I feel like I've been punched in the gut. You can't do this, I whisper, my voice cracking. His eyes flash with anger. I am doing this. The tears fall freely now, but he doesn't care. He doesn't even flinch. You'll have 30 days to find somewhere else to live, he says, standing up. And don't think you'll get sympathy from anyone. I've told your family, your friends, everyone knows what you did. No more secrets, Jenny. I gasp, my chest tightening. The thought of everyone knowing, of the shame and judgment that will follow me, is too much to bear. Degan, please. I beg, my voice barely above a whisper. But he just shakes his head, his expression hard and unforgiving. This is the life you chose. Now you're going to live with the consequences. Without another word, he turns and walks out the door, leaving me alone in the suffocating silence of the empty house. The weight of the divorce papers in my lap feels like 1,000 pounds. I've lost everything. The house feels unbearably quiet after Degan leaves. The divorce papers sit on the table, a stark reminder of the reality I now face. I'm numb, staring at the pages, unable to process what just happened. This is real. Degan is serious. He's taking everything, our life, our home, and my dignity, and there's nothing I can do to stop him. I try calling him again, but of course, it goes straight to voicemail. He's shut me out completely. I want to scream, to throw the papers, to make all of this go away, but it won't. There's no escaping the mess I've created. The betrayal isn't just between me and Degan anymore. He's told everyone. My phone buzzes on the table, and I pick it up, dreading what I know is coming. Sure enough, it's a message from my sister. Asterisk, you need to explain this. Now. Asterisk, the pit in my stomach deepens. How can I explain this? How do I make my family understand something I barely understand myself? I can't. They'll never forgive me, just like Degan. Tears blur my vision as I open another text, this time from my best friend. Asterisk, Jenny. Is it true? Asterisk, I don't respond. What's the point? I can feel the walls closing in as I scroll through more messages. People who once cared about me, supported me, are now distant, disgusted, disappointed. And they have every right to be. I've ruined everything. I throw my phone aside, unable to take any more. The weight of my actions is crushing me, suffocating me. I'm completely alone. Everyone knows, and there's no coming back from this. I can't stay here. The walls feel like they're closing in, the air too thick to breathe. I grab my keys and leave the house, not even sure where I'm going, but knowing I can't stay in that house filled with memories of the life I just destroyed. I drive aimlessly, my mind spinning. How did it come to this? How did one mistake turn into the end of everything I ever cared about? The guilt is overwhelming, pressing down on me until I can't think straight. I pull over to the side of the road, resting my head against the steering wheel, and sob uncontrollably. All the promises, all the love we shared, it's gone. And I'm the one who broke it. After what feels like hours, I manage to pull myself together enough to drive to my sister's house. It's the only place I can think of. But when I knock on her door, she opens it with a look that tells me everything I need to know. She's angry, hurt, betrayed too, in a way. Jenny, what the hell? She snaps, barely letting me inside. I didn't mean for it to happen. I whisper, my voice cracking. It was a mistake? A mistake? She shakes her head, her arms crossed tightly over her chest. You didn't just trip and fall into someone else's bed, Jenny. What were you thinking? I don't know, I admit, tears streaming down my face. I wasn't thinking. I love Degan. I don't even know why I did it. It just happened. Her expression softens, but only a little. Well, it's happened now. And Degan's furious. He's told the whole family. I know. I whisper, my voice shaking. He's divorcing me. He's taking everything. My sister sighs, looking away. I don't know what you expect me to say, Jenny. You messed up. Bad. And honestly, I don't know if anyone's going to forgive you for this. Her words cut deeper than I expected. I came here hoping for comfort, for understanding, but even my own sister can't look at me the same way. And I don't blame her. I'm sorry, I whisper, but it feels hollow, even to me. She doesn't respond for a long moment, just stands there staring at me like she's seeing a stranger. Finally, she speaks, her voice quiet but firm. I think you should go. It's like a punch to the gut, but I don't argue. I don't have the energy to fight anymore. I turn and walk back to my car, the weight of her rejection settling in with the rest of the pain. I'm truly alone now. The drive back home feels like a slow descent into hell. I thought things couldn't get worse, but they always do. My sister's cold rejection was the final blow. If even she can't forgive me, who will? My family, my friends, everyone I care about, has turned their back on me, and I deserve it. When I pull into the driveway, the house looks more like a tomb. Cold, empty, and suffocating. The life I shared with Degan is dead, and this house is just a reminder of everything I've lost. The divorce papers still sit on the coffee table, glaring at me like a death sentence. I know I have to face it, but part of me wants to burn the whole thing, as if that would somehow erase my mistake. I collapse onto the couch, my mind numb. I can't process anything anymore. I keep replaying Degan's words over and over in my head. Asterisk, you'll know what it feels like to lose everything. Asterisk, he was right. This is what losing everything feels like. Hours pass, though I barely notice. I stare blankly at the ceiling, my mind a whirl of regret and despair. The sun sets outside, casting long shadows through the windows, but I don't move. What's the point? What's left to fight for? A knock at the door startles me out of my daze. I sit up, my heart pounding. For a split second, I think it's Degan, coming back to talk things through. But when I open the door, it's worse, far worse. Standing there is Alan, the man I made the mistake with. His presence makes my skin crawl. I can't even look at him without feeling a wave of disgust, both at him and at myself. Jenny, he says, his voice low, like he's afraid of being overheard. Can I come in? No, I say quickly, stepping outside and closing the door behind me. The last thing I need is for him to walk into this house and make everything worse. He looks around nervously, avoiding my eyes. I heard about what happened with Degan. I thought, maybe we could talk? Talk about what? My voice is sharp, angrier than I intended, but I don't care. The sight of him standing here, like he has any right to be involved in my life now, makes my blood boil. There's nothing to talk about, Alan. It was a mistake. A huge, horrible mistake. I ruined my life because of it. And you showing up here doesn't help. He looks hurt, but I don't care. This isn't about him. It never was. Jenny, just go, I snap, cutting him off. Whatever you think is going to happen, it's not. I don't want to see you. I don't want anything to do with you. He stares at me for a moment, his face a mix of confusion and hurt, but finally, he nods. Okay, I understand. I'm sorry. I watch as he turns and walks away, his shoulders slumped. But the moment the door closes behind me, I don't feel any better. I just feel empty. As night falls, I realize how alone I truly am. Alan is gone. Degan is gone. My family wants nothing to do with me, and I can't blame any of them. I've destroyed everything, and now I have to live with the consequences. My phone buzzes, and for a moment, I consider ignoring it. But something compels me to look. It's another message, from Degan this time. Asterisk, tomorrow, the movers will come. You have a week to get your things. After that, you're on your own. Asterisk. I stare at the message, my heart sinking further into despair. He's really going through with it. I have a week to pack up my life, and then I'm out of here. No more second chances. No more hope. I let the phone slip from my hand, landing with a dull thud on the floor. I curl up on the couch, pulling a blanket over myself, but no matter how tightly I wrap it around me, I can't shake the cold that's settled deep in my bones. This is my life now. Alone, ashamed, and broken. The morning light filters through the curtains, but it brings no warmth. I wake up on the couch, disoriented and stiff from the uncomfortable position I fell asleep in. My mind is foggy, but the harsh reality quickly settles in again. Today's the day the movers come. Degan wasn't bluffing. I drag myself off the couch, feeling like I'm moving through thick mud. My body is heavy with exhaustion, but my mind won't let me rest. I can't hide from this any longer. I have a week to pack up the remnants of my life and figure out what's next, if there's even a next for me. I take a deep breath, heading upstairs to the bedroom. The bed is neatly made, just like Degan always liked it, but it feels foreign now, cold. I open the closet, staring at the rows of clothes hanging there, once representing a life filled with routine and comfort. Now, they're just reminders of what's slipping through my fingers. I start packing, throwing clothes into boxes without much thought. Each piece of fabric feels like it's weighted with regret. I come across a shirt Degan used to love seeing me in, and the memories hit hard. I crumble to the floor, clutching it, the tears finally breaking free. How could I have let this happen? How did I let one reckless decision destroy everything? I want to scream, to turn back time, to undo it all. But there's no undoing this. No escaping the consequences. After what feels like hours, I manage to pull myself together long enough to continue packing. The house is silent, except for the sound of my shaky breath and the thud of clothes and personal items being thrown into boxes. It's a hollow, lifeless process, and I feel like a ghost in my own home. Midway through packing, I hear a knock at the door. The movers are here. My stomach flips, and my hands shake as I open the door. 3 men stand there, professional and polite, but their presence is like a slap in the face. They're here to take apart the last traces of my life with Degan. Mrs. Stone? One of them asks, and the title stings, knowing I won't be Degan's wife for much longer. Yeah, come in, I mutter, stepping aside to let them enter. They get to work quickly, disassembling furniture and carefully moving boxes. I wander aimlessly through the house, watching as they dismantle what's left of our home. It's surreal, seeing everything I once cherished being packed away so methodically, like it's just another job to them. But to me, it's everything. I retreat to the kitchen, needing to get away from the sight of my life being stripped down to boxes and empty spaces. I pour myself a glass of water, my hands trembling so much I almost drop the glass. While I sit there, trying to calm myself, my phone buzzes again. I hesitate, dreading what new blow is coming, but I glance at the screen. It's a message from my best friend, Rachel. Asterisk, I don't know what to say, Jenny. I can't believe you did this. Call me when you're ready to talk, but I need some space right now. Asterisk. I sigh, setting the phone down. More rejection. Another friendship hanging by a thread because of my stupid, selfish choices. Hours pass, and the movers finish their work. When they're done, the house is almost unrecognizable. It's bare, hollow. No pictures on the walls, no furniture to make it feel like home. Just me, standing alone in the emptiness I created. The head mover hands me a clipboard to sign off on everything, and I scribble my name without looking at the details. I don't care anymore. Nothing matters now. As they leave, the silence in the house becomes deafening. I sit on the floor in the middle of the living room, staring at the blank walls. This house, which once held so much love, joy, and warmth, now feels like a tomb. I can't stay here. I need to leave before I lose my mind. But where do I go? Who do I turn to? I pick up my phone again, my thumb hovering over the call button, debating whether to reach out to my family. But the shame is too much. I can't face them. Not yet. Instead, I grab my keys and walk out the door, leaving the hollow shell of my life behind me. I don't know where I'm going, but anywhere is better than here. I get into the car, but I don't have a destination in mind. I just drive, trying to outrun the suffocating weight of my mistakes. The streets blur past me, but no matter how fast I go, I can't escape the sinking feeling in my chest. The world outside moves forward, but I'm stuck, caught in the quicksand of regret. After what feels like hours, I pull into a quiet park at the edge of town. I've been here before, once with Degan. We had a picnic here during the early years of our marriage, back when everything seemed perfect. The memory feels like a cruel joke now. I step out of the car, and walk over to a bench overlooking a small pond. The water is still, reflecting the pale, overcast sky. I sit down and bury my face in my hands. The ache in my chest feels unbearable, and the loneliness settles in like a permanent fixture. I can't stop thinking about how drastically everything has changed in such a short time. A few weeks ago, I had a life. A husband who loved me, friends who respected me, family who supported me. And now, it's all gone. Just like that. I stare at the pond, feeling the weight of my actions pressing down on me. How could I have been so stupid? So reckless? I knew what I had with Degan was rare, special, and yet, I threw it all away for a meaningless affair that didn't even matter. What was I trying to prove? That I could still feel wanted? Desired? The truth is, I didn't just betray Degan. I betrayed myself. A sob escapes my throat, and I cover my face, feeling the tears pour down. I don't even try to stop them anymore. There's no point. The shame, the guilt, the regret, it's all-consuming. After what feels like hours of sitting in silence, I hear footsteps approaching. I glance up, wiping my eyes quickly, and to my surprise, I see Rachel, my best friend, walking toward me. My heart sinks, knowing what she must think of me, but she's here. That has to mean something, right? She sits down next to me on the bench, her expression guarded. We don't say anything for a while. The air between us is thick with unspoken words, the weight of what I've done hanging over us like a storm cloud. Finally, Rachel breaks the silence. I wasn't sure I wanted to see you, she says softly, her voice laced with disappointment. But I couldn't ignore your messages. I nod, not trusting my voice just yet. I wipe my eyes again and try to compose myself, but the shame is too heavy. I don't even know where to start. I whisper, my voice barely audible. Rachel looks at me for a long moment, then shakes her head. Why, Jenny? Why did you do it? The question hits hard. It's the same one I've been asking myself since all of this started. I take a deep breath, trying to find the right words, but they don't come easily. I don't know, I admit, my voice cracking. I was lonely, insecure, stupid. I didn't think it through, and now I've lost everything. Rachel looks down, her jaw tight. You didn't just hurt yourself, you know? You hurt Degan. You hurt everyone around you. I know. I choke out, the tears threatening to fall again. I know, and I hate myself for it. My voice falters, and I can't continue. Rachel sighs, leaning back on the bench. I've known you for years, Jenny, and this doesn't seem like you. But what you did, it was selfish. It wasn't just a mistake, it was a choice. I know, I whisper. I know, and I don't expect anyone to forgive me. I've ruined everything. There's a long pause before Rachel speaks again. I'm not here to judge you. That's not why I came. But you need to understand that things will never be the same after this. You've got a long road ahead of you, and I don't know if anyone can help you fix this. Her words cut deep, but I know she's right. There's no easy way out of this. No way to undo what's been done. Rachel stands up, looking down at me with a mixture of sadness and resolve. I need time, Jenny. We all do. But if you ever need someone to talk to, I'm here. I nod, unable to find the words to express my gratitude. She walks away, leaving me alone once again. But this time, there's a small glimmer of hope. Maybe not everything is lost. I watch her leave, then stare out at the pond once more. The stillness of the water reflects my own life, quiet, disrupted, and in need of healing. I don't know how I'm going to get through this, but maybe, just maybe, I can start a rebuild. I sit by the pond for what feels like hours after Rachel leaves. Her words echo in my mind. Things will never be the same. I know that. I've known that since the moment Degan found out, but hearing it from someone else makes it feel all the more real. The life I had is gone, and there's no going back. But there's something else Rachel said that lingers, something that sparks a flicker of hope in the darkness. If you ever need someone to talk to, I'm here. It's not forgiveness, but it's a lifeline. I'm not completely alone. I still have one person willing to listen, even if everything else has fallen apart. With a heavy sigh, I get up from the bench and head back to my car. I don't know where I'm going next, But for the first time since all of this started, I feel like I might be able to survive it. The guilt is still there, weighing me down, but the despair doesn't feel as suffocating. Not with that small flicker of hope to hold on to. As I drive through town, the streets feel different now. Everything looks the same shops, the same familiar faces walking by, but I'm different. My life is fractured, and I'm not sure how to put the pieces back together. But maybe I can. When I get back to the house, it feels emptier than ever. The movers have taken most of the furniture, and what's left is just a reminder of what's been lost. But I walk inside anyway, determined to face it head-on. I head to the bedroom, where the closet still holds the last of my things. It feels like a final goodbye as I pack up the remaining clothes and personal items, boxing up the last remnants of the life Degan and I shared. My fingers brush against a framed photo on the nightstand. One of the two of us from our honeymoon. We look so happy, so in love. It's hard to believe how far we've fallen since then. I turn the photo face down and continue packing. It's too painful to look at. Too much has changed. As I'm finishing up, I hear the door creak open behind me. My heart jumps into my throat as I turn around, half expecting it to be Degan, but instead, I see my mother standing in the doorway. Her face is somber, her eyes filled with the same disappointment I've seen reflected in everyone else's. "Mom," I start, but she cuts me off with a sigh. "Jenny, what were you thinking?" she asks, her voice soft but laced with hurt. I shake my head, trying to find the words. "I wasn't thinking. I messed up. I don't know how to fix this." She steps inside the room, her eyes scanning the half-packed boxes and the disarray. "You can't fix it," she says, her voice firm but not unkind. "Not like this." I nod, my throat tightening as the tears threaten to spill again. "I know. I don't expect anything to go back to the way it was. I don't know what to do, Mom." She looks at me for a long moment before walking over and placing a hand on my shoulder. "You start by accepting the consequences. You made a mistake, and now you have to live with it. But you don't have to do it alone." Her words hit me hard. I've been so consumed by my guilt and shame that I hadn't even considered that maybe, just maybe, someone might still care enough to help me through this. "Do you think Degan will ever forgive me?" I ask, my voice barely a whisper. She shakes her head gently. "I don't know, Jenny, but forgiveness isn't something you can ask for. It has to be earned. And even then, it might not come. You have to be prepared for that." I nod, feeling the weight of her words settle in. She's right. I can't expect Degan to forgive me, not after what I did. But maybe I can start to forgive myself. Maybe that's the first step. My mom pulls me into a hug, and for the first time in days, I feel a tiny bit of comfort. It's not enough to heal the wound I've created, but it's a start. A small step towards something better. "I'm going to get through this," I whisper, more to myself than to her. She pulls back and looks me in the eye. "You will. It won't be easy, but you will." We finish packing the last of my things together, and as we load the boxes into the car, I realize that this house, this chapter of my life, is truly over. There's no going back. But there's a future, somewhere, even if it's one I have to rebuild from scratch. As I drive away from the house for the last time, I feel a mix of sadness and relief. It's the end of one life, but maybe it's the beginning of another. The weight of leaving the house behind lingers as I drive, but it's not as crushing as I thought it would be. In some ways, it feels like I'm shedding the skin of a past that no longer fits me, even if the new skin is raw and exposed. I don't have a clear plan, but I head toward my mother's house. It's the only place I feel remotely safe right now. When I pull into the driveway, my mother is already inside, putting on a brave face like she's done countless times before. She's always been the strong one, the one who handles everything, even when things fall apart. Today, I wish I could be more like her. But as I grab the first box from my car, I realize that strength isn't about pretending nothing is wrong. It's about facing it, just like she said. Inside, my mother has made space for my things in the guest room. It feels strange, like I'm regressing, moving back into the house I grew up in, but I remind myself that this is temporary, just a stop on my journey back to finding myself. We unpack in silence for a while. I try to focus on the task at hand, placing clothes in drawers and organizing the few personal items I brought. Each item feels like a reminder of who I used to be before I broke everything, but I try not to dwell on it, one step at a time. When we finish, my mom sits down on the edge of the bed, watching me quietly as I fold the last shirt and put it away. "You've got a lot of healing to do, Jenny," she says softly, "and it's going to take time." "I know," I reply, though I'm not sure I fully believe it yet. She gives me a sad smile. "You're going to feel like you're lost for a while, but you'll find your way." I nod, but my chest tightens with anxiety. I don't know where to start. Degan is gone. My friends have distanced themselves. I don't even know who I am anymore. How am I supposed to find my way when I've already burned every bridge? I don't even know where to begin, I admit, sinking into a chair by the window. "Start with yourself," my mom says firmly. "You can't fix anything else until you figure out who you are and what you want from this point on. You've been carrying this guilt and shame for too long, Jenny. It's time to put it down and start building again." Her words hit hard, but they make sense. I've been so focused on the fallout, on what I've lost, that I haven't even considered what I need to rebuild. I'm not the same person I was before, and I can't keep pretending that I am. I need to find a way to heal. "Okay," I whisper, more to myself than to her. "I'll try." The days that follow are strange and difficult. My life is in limbo, filled with long hours of self-reflection and awkward attempts to reach out to those I've hurt. Degan hasn't contacted me since the divorce papers, and every day that passes without hearing from him feels like a fresh wound. But I remind myself that this is part of the process, part of accepting the consequences of my actions. I try calling Rachel again, but she still needs time. I don't blame her. She was like a sister to me, and my betrayal cut deep. I leave her a message, telling her I'm here whenever she's ready. It's the best I can do. On the third day, I finally reach out to my sister. The conversation is stilted and awkward, filled with long pauses where neither of us knows what to say. But by the end, she agrees to meet for coffee. It's a small step, but it feels like a win. I take what I can get. Each day, I push myself to take one more step. Some days, it's as small as getting out of bed and going for a walk. Other days, I manage to talk to someone or write down my thoughts. It's a slow process, and there are moments when I feel like I'm drowning in the guilt again, but I try to remind myself that healing isn't linear. I won't feel better overnight. One afternoon, I find myself scrolling through old photos of Degan and me. I stumble across one from our honeymoon. Our faces full of hope, our arms wrapped around each other. I stare at it for a long time, the ache in my chest growing stronger. How could I have destroyed something so beautiful? But instead of breaking down, I do something different this time. I close the photo, take a deep breath, and remind myself that I can't change the past. I can only move forward. I've lost Degan. I've lost so much. But maybe, just maybe, I can find something new in the ruins. Another week passes, and the rhythm of my new life slowly starts to take shape. The days are still heavy, but I'm beginning to feel a faint sense of progress. It's hard to explain, but there's a shift inside me. I'm not drowning in guilt every second, and while the weight of my actions hasn't lifted, I'm learning how to carry it. One afternoon, while I'm at my mom's house sorting through more of my old belongings, my phone buzzes with a message. I glance down and see Rachel's name. My heart skips a beat. Asterisk, can we meet? Coffee, maybe? Asterisk, I can hardly believe it. She wants to see me. It feels like a lifeline, a chance to rebuild at least one piece of the life I shattered. I quickly type back, agreeing to meet her at a small cafe we used to visit all the time. When I arrive, Rachel is already there, sitting at a corner table with her hands wrapped around a cup of coffee. She looks up as I approach, her expression guarded but not as cold as the last time we spoke. I take a deep breath and sit down across from her. "Thanks for meeting me," I say, my voice a little shaky. Rachel nods, sipping her coffee before setting the cup down. "I've been thinking a lot about what happened," she says quietly. "About you. About us. I don't know, Jenny. It's hard. Why?" I stare at the table, the guilt rising again. I don't have a good answer, I admit. I wasn't thinking clearly. I was insecure, and I let it cloud my judgment. But that doesn't excuse what I did. I know I hurt you, and Degan, and everyone else. I'm so sorry, Rachel. She looks at me, her eyes searching my face for something. Maybe sincerity, maybe regret. I can't be sure. But after a long silence, she finally speaks. I don't know if I can forgive you, Jenny, she says, her voice soft but firm. At least, not yet. You're my best friend. But this was a betrayal. It's not just about Degan. It's about trust. I don't know if I can trust you anymore. Her words cut deep, but they're not unexpected. I nod slowly, blinking back tears. I get it. I really do. I don't expect you to forgive me right away, if at all. I just hope maybe, someday, we can rebuild something. I miss you, Rachel. She sighs, running a hand through her hair. I miss you too, but things are different now. We're different. I need time to figure this out. I understand. I say quietly. I'll give you all the time you need. There's another long pause before she nods. Thank you. It's not the resolution I was hoping for, but it's something. A start. And for now, that's enough. We talk for a little while longer, catching up on the mundane details of life. Work, family, the usual things we used to share so easily. It feels awkward, like we're both walking on eggshells, but there's also a sense of familiarity, a reminder of what we once had. When we part ways, I feel lighter. There's still a long road ahead, but maybe, just maybe, Rachel and I can find our way back to each other. Over the next few days, I continue to take small steps. I start reaching out to more friends, sending messages apologizing for what I've done, hoping that someone will respond. Some do, some don't, but I understand. I can't force people to forgive me. One afternoon, while I'm cleaning up around my mom's house, I get a phone call from an unfamiliar number. I hesitate before answering, unsure of who it could be. Hello? Jenny, it's Alan. The sound of his voice makes my stomach churn. I haven't spoken to him since that day he showed up at my house, and I'm not sure I'm ready to deal with him now. But I stay on the line, unsure of what else to do. What do you want, Alan? I ask, my tone guarded. There's a pause on the other end. I wanted to check in on you. See how you're doing. I'm fine, I say curtly. Look, Alan, I don't think we should be talking. I've made enough mistakes, and I need to move on. I get that, he replies, his voice softening. I didn't mean to complicate things, but I feel bad about everything. I know I was part of the problem. Part of the problem? That's one way to put it. But I don't have the energy to rehash everything. I just want to move on. I appreciate that, Alan, I say. But I need to move forward, and I can't do that with you in my life. I'm trying to fix things with Degan and with myself. So, please don't call again. There's a brief silence on the other end before he finally speaks. Okay, I understand. Take care, Jenny. I hang up the phone, feeling a strange mix of relief and closure. Alan is out of my life for good. That chapter is over. Now, I can focus on healing and moving forward. Alan's departure from my life feels like a door closing. I put the phone down and take a deep breath, feeling the weight of that chapter finally beginning to lift. It's not complete closure, not yet, but it's the first real step toward reclaiming some sense of control over my life. As the days pass, I try to focus on rebuilding what I can. My routine is simple. Wake up, help my mom around the house, look for part-time work, and spend my evenings journaling or reading. It's not much, but it's something to keep my mind from spiraling into dark places. One afternoon, as I'm scrolling through job listings online, my phone buzzes with a notification. My heart skips a beat when I see Degan's name. I haven't heard from him since the movers came, and every day without contact has been a silent torment. The message is short and to the point. Asterisk, we need to talk. Meet me tomorrow at 2 p.m. The cafe near the old house. Asterisk, a rush of anxiety and hope surges through me. I don't know what this means. If he wants to finalize the divorce or if there's a chance to talk about everything. But I can't help the flicker of hope that ignites in my chest. Maybe this is the conversation I've been waiting for. I don't sleep much that night. My mind races with possibilities. I replay the mistakes I made, the arguments we had, the love we once shared. I keep wondering what I could say, how I could explain the unexplainable, how I could possibly make him understand. By the time morning comes, I feel like a bundle of nerves. I try to focus on getting ready, but my hands shake as I fumble with my clothes. It feels like a monumental moment, and I don't want to mess it up. At 1:45, I leave the house and drive to the cafe, arriving early. My heart pounds as I walk in, scanning the small room for any sign of Degan. He's not there yet, so I grab a table near the window and order a cup of coffee, hoping it will help calm my nerves. At 2 p.m. sharp, Degan walks in. The sight of him takes my breath away. He looks the same, but different. The familiar strength in his stride is still there, but his eyes are colder, harder. He sees me, gives a small nod, and walks over to the table. My heart sinks as I take in his expression, calm, but distant. I don't know what I was expecting, but it wasn't this. He sits down across from me, folding his hands on the table. There's a long, tense silence before he speaks. "Jenny." "Degan," I reply, my voice small. I don't know what to say, where to start, so I just wait, hoping he'll lead the conversation. He looks out the window for a moment, as if gathering his thoughts, then turns back to me. "I've been thinking a lot about everything," he begins. "About what happened. About us." I swallow hard, my chest tightening. This is it. The conversation I've been dreading and hoping for all at once. "I know you're sorry," he says, his voice low but firm. "I know you regret what you did, and I've been trying to figure out if I can forgive you, if we can move forward from this." The hope in my chest flares, but I don't dare speak. I wait, my heart in my throat. But the truth is, he continues, his eyes locking onto mine, "I don't know if I can." His words hit me like a punch to the gut, and I feel the tears welling up in my eyes. "Degan, please," I whisper, but he shakes his head. "I'm not saying this to hurt you," he says, his voice softening slightly. I don't know if I can ever look at you the same way. I don't know if I can trust you again." The tears spill over, and I wipe them away quickly, trying to hold myself together. "I'll do anything, Degan. I'll prove it to you. I'll spend the rest of my life making this right." He sighs, rubbing a hand over his face. "I know you would. But sometimes love isn't enough, Jenny." The words feel like a final blow. I open my mouth to speak, but nothing comes out. I feel the hope slipping away, replaced by a deep, aching sadness. Degan leans forward, his expression pained. "I loved you, Jenny. I still do, in a way. But this isn't something we can come back from. Too much has happened." I nod slowly, my heart shattering into 1,000 pieces. I knew this was a possibility, but hearing it out loud makes it real. The finality of it sinks in. "I'm going to move forward with the divorce," Degan says, his voice steady but sad. "I'll be fair in the settlement. I'm not looking to punish you. I need to move on." I swallow the lump in my throat and manage a shaky nod. "I understand," I whisper, my voice barely audible. He watches me for a moment longer, then stands up. "I'm sorry," he says quietly. "I hope you find peace, Jenny." And with that, he walks out of the cafe, leaving me sitting there alone with nothing but the echo of his words and the hollow feeling in my chest. I sit there for a long time, staring at the door long after he's gone. The finality of it all washes over me. It's really over. Degan is gone, and there's no going back. The cafe feels emptier than ever now, even though it's filled with the usual bustle of people talking, coffee cups clinking, and the faint hum of music playing in the background. I feel like I'm in a bubble of silence, utterly alone. Degan's words keep replaying in my mind. I need to move on. It's over. I knew this was a possibility, but that doesn't make it any easier. The man I built my life with is gone, and the realization leaves a hollow ache in my chest. I've lost him, and there's nothing left to fight for. It's done. I leave the cafe, my footsteps heavy as I walk to my car. Every movement feels sluggish, like I'm moving underwater. I drive back to my mom's house in a daze, the world outside blurring past me. I don't remember the drive, only the overwhelming sense of finality that settles in my bones. When I walk through the front door, my mom is there, her face etched with worry. She can tell something's wrong immediately, and she doesn't need to ask what happened. I must look like a ghost. I collapse onto the couch, burying my face in my hands. I don't have the energy to explain, and honestly, I don't even know how to put it into words. The weight of everything, of losing Degan, of the divorce, of the betrayal I caused. It's too much. My mom sits beside me, her hand resting gently on my back. She doesn't say anything. She just lets me cry, and for the first time in a while, I let the tears fall freely. There's no holding back now. The grief pours out of me in heavy sobs, and I don't try to stop it. "I'm so sorry, Mom," I whisper through the tears. "I ruined everything. I don't know how to fix it." She pulls me into her arms, holding me tight like she used to when I was a child. "I know, Jenny," she says softly, "but you can't change what's already done. You can only move forward." "I don't know how," I choke out. "I don't even know where to start." "By accepting it," she says, her voice steady but gentle. "By letting yourself feel this pain and then choosing to heal. It's going to take time. You're going to feel lost for a while. But one day, you'll wake up and it won't hurt as much. And you'll be stronger for it." I nod, though I can't imagine a day where this pain doesn't consume me. But I trust her. She's the only one who hasn't turned her back on me, and I hold on to that for dear life. The days that follow are a blur of numbness. Degan moves forward with the divorce, and the legal process begins. It's clean, efficient. No drama, no drawn-out battles. He's fair, just like he promised. But the coldness in the interactions, the distance, makes it clear that whatever we once had is gone. I sign the papers with shaking hands, feeling the last thread of our connection snap. After the papers are signed, I return to my mom's house and lie in bed, staring at the ceiling. The finality of it hits me like a wave, and I feel adrift in the aftermath. What now? Who am I without Degan, without the life we built together? The question hangs over me, unanswered. One evening, a few days later, my mom sits down next to me at dinner, placing a hand on mine. "Jenny, you need to start thinking about what's next for you." I blink, barely processing her words. "What do you mean?" She sighs softly. "I know you've been hurting, but you can't stay stuck in this place forever. You need to think about your future. What do you want to do? Where do you want to go from here?" Her words stir something in me, but it's faint, like a flicker of light in the darkness. My future. I haven't thought about that in a long time. Everything was wrapped up in Degan, in our life together, that I forgot what it meant to think about me. Just me. "I don't know," I admit, my voice barely above a whisper. "I don't know who I am without him." My mom squeezes my hand. "You were someone before Degan, and you'll be someone after him. It's time to figure out who that is." Her words stick with me long after she leaves the room. I sit there, staring at the table, thinking about what she said. Who am I without Degan? Who am I beyond the mistakes, beyond the betrayal? It's a question I don't have the answer to yet, but maybe I can start finding out. The next morning, I wake up with a sense of determination I haven't felt in weeks. It's small, fragile, but it's there. I spend the day looking into job opportunities, updating my resume, and even thinking about moving to a new place. A fresh start, far from the ghosts of my old life. It's not much, but it's a start. And for now, that's all I need. The process of rebuilding my life is slow and uneven. Some days I wake up with the determination to move forward, to find myself again. Other days, the weight of everything I've lost pulls me back down, suffocating me in regret. But I keep going, one step at a time. I focus on practical things first. I update my resume, applying for jobs that I hadn't considered before. It's strange, trying to re-enter the workforce after everything that's happened, but it's also a distraction, something to keep my mind occupied. I even start looking at apartments in the city, thinking about the possibility of starting fresh somewhere new. It's terrifying to think about living on my own again, but it's also exciting in a way I didn't expect. One afternoon, I get a call for an interview. It's for an administrative position at a small firm downtown, not glamorous, but stable. I prepare nervously, hoping that maybe this is the break I need to start over. When the day of the interview comes, I dress up in the most professional clothes I have left, trying to feel like the confident person I used to be. As I walk into the office, I remind myself that this is just the beginning. It's not about where I'm starting, but where I'm going. The interview goes well, and by the time I leave, I feel a flicker of hope. Maybe things are starting to turn around. Maybe I can actually do this. That evening, I get a text from Rachel. It's been a while since we last talked, but she's been on my mind constantly. I open the message with a sense of trepidation. Asterisk, I've been thinking. Let's get dinner sometime soon. I think it's time we talk properly. Asterisk, a sense of relief washes over me. Rachel's willing to give me another chance, to hear me out. It's more than I could have hoped for. I quickly type back, agreeing to meet up later in the week. It feels like things are slowly, cautiously falling into place. The job interview, reconnecting with Rachel. It's all happening in small steps, but they're steps in the right direction. On the night we're supposed to meet for dinner, I arrive early at the restaurant, my stomach fluttering with nerves. Rachel walks in a few minutes later, offering a small smile. It's not the wide, carefree grin I used to know, but it's something. It's a start. We sit down and order drinks, and for the first few minutes, the conversation is light, almost awkward. We talk about work, about life, and dance around the elephant in the room. But eventually, Rachel puts her drink down and looks at me with a serious expression. I'm not going to lie, Jenny, she says. What you did hurt. A lot. I've been going back and forth about whether or not I could forgive you. I nod, my throat tight. I know. And I'm so sorry, Rachel. I was selfish. I didn't think about anyone but myself, and I don't expect you to just get over it. But I miss you. I miss our friendship. She takes a deep breath, her fingers tracing the rim of her glass. I've missed you too. But trust is hard to rebuild. I know, I say softly, and I don't expect it to happen overnight. I just want the chance to show you that I'm trying to be better. Rachel is quiet for a moment, then she nods slowly. I want that too, but it's going to take time. We're not just going to snap back to the way things were. I understand, I reply. I'm not asking for that. I just want to start. For the rest of the evening, the tension eases. We laugh, we talk, and for a little while, it feels almost normal again. Like maybe, with time, we can rebuild something new, different, but still meaningful. As I leave the restaurant, there's a lightness in my step that I haven't felt in a long time. I know it won't be easy, but this is the first real sign that not everything is lost. Over the next few weeks, more small victories come. I get a call back from the firm I interviewed with and secure the job. It's a relief to have something stable again, to feel like I'm contributing to my life, to my future. I find a small apartment downtown, nothing fancy, but it's mine. It feels like a fresh start, a place where I can begin to rebuild myself from the ground up. Moving in is bittersweet. The quiet of living alone is jarring at first, a reminder of how much my life has changed. But it also feels like an opportunity to redefine who I am, outside of everything I've lost. On my first night in the apartment, I sit on the floor, surrounded by boxes, and breathe in the quiet. It's peaceful, in a way I didn't expect. I may not have all the answers yet, but I'm starting to believe that I'll find them. The next morning, I wake up early, the sunlight streaming through the windows of my new place. I stand by the window, looking out at the city below, and for the first time in a long time, I feel a flicker of optimism. I don't know where this path will lead, but I'm starting to believe that maybe, just maybe, I'm going to be okay. The first few weeks in my new apartment are quiet, almost unsettlingly so. There's no routine to fall back on, no familiar sounds of a shared life with Degan, no friends dropping by unannounced. But the quiet, though lonely at first, begins to feel more like a canvas than a void, an open space waiting to be filled with new possibilities. My job at the firm starts off slow. I'm learning the ropes, adjusting to the mundane tasks of filing, answering phones, and handling paperwork. It's not glamorous, but there's something comforting about the routine, something steady in the midst of all the chaos my life had become. Every day I walk into the office, I feel a little more like myself, someone capable, someone worth something, despite the mistakes I've made. Outside of work, I focus on rebuilding connections, but I'm patient with the process. Rachel and I meet up once or twice more, and while things aren't back to normal, there's progress. We laugh more, the conversations flow a bit easier, and I can see a glimpse of the friendship we once had. I know it'll take time, but I'm willing to put in the effort. For once, I'm not looking for shortcuts. I also begin reaching out to my family again. Small gestures, texts, and phone calls. My sister and I have coffee a few times, and while our relationship still feels strained, she's there, willing to meet me halfway. The shame of what I've done still lingers, but I'm learning that healing isn't about erasing the past. It's about learning how to live with it and choosing to do better. On weekends, I spend time exploring the city on my own. At first, it feels strange. Being out alone, no Degan, no familiar hand to hold, but gradually, I find joy in it. I discover new cafes, parks, and bookstores, little places I might not have noticed before. It's a new way of experiencing life, on my terms, for myself. One afternoon, as I'm walking through a park, my phone buzzes in my pocket. It's a text from Degan. My heart skips a beat, and for a moment, I'm not sure if I want to open it. But curiosity gets the best of me, and I swipe to read the message. Asterisk, I hope you're doing okay. I just wanted to say I'm moving forward with my life, and I hope you're finding your way too. Take care, Jenny. Asterisk. The message is simple, almost impersonal, but there's something final about it. For a long time, I'd held on to the hope that maybe things between us could be fixed, that maybe one day he'd come back. But reading his words, I realized that I've been clinging to a past that's no longer there. Degan has moved on, and now, so must I. I stare at the message for a long moment, then type a quick reply. Asterisk, thank you. I'm doing better, and I wish you the best too. Asterisk. It's a small exchange, but it feels like the last piece of closure I needed. As I slip my phone back into my pocket and continue walking, I feel lighter, like a burden I've carried for months has finally been lifted. In the weeks that follow, I focus on moving forward. The pain of what happened still lingers, but it doesn't consume me the way it used to. The quiet moments are no longer filled with regret and self-loathing. Instead, they're opportunities for reflection and growth. I'm learning how to forgive myself, not because I deserve it, but because it's the only way I can truly heal. One evening, as I sit on my small balcony overlooking the city, I realize something important. I'm not defined by my past mistakes. I'm not the sum of my failures or the pain I've caused. I'm still here, still standing, and that means I have the chance to create something new. It's not the life I imagined. I never thought I'd end up here, alone, starting over from scratch. But maybe that's okay. Maybe this is exactly where I need to be. The future is uncertain, but for the first time in a long time, I'm not afraid of it. I'm not running from it. I'm embracing it. Have you ever had to start over after a major life change? Share your story in the comments below, and let's keep the conversation going. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more stories about life, love, and the journey toward healing. Asterisk, asterisk.